When they ask the question.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody to our first meeting of the Corporate and Community Services Standing Committee. Since this is the first meeting, before we start, I will be doing the election for the position of chair and the vice chair. So I'll provide a brief review of the process. I will be accepting nominations from the floor for the position of chair first, and then the position of vice chair. You may nominate someone else and you may nominate yourself. If there is more than one individual interested in either the positions, the voting will occur in the order of the nomination, and each member will be provided 1 minute each to provide a rationale to the committee on why you believe that you would be appropriate for the position of chair or vice chair. Again, you have the ability to vote for yourself should you be in a position that you have received a nomination and accepted that nomination. So I will open up the election process now. All those in, can I call for nominations for the position of chair? Councillor Berman.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate Councillor Madigan, please.
And Councillor Madigan, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, thank you.
Is there any other nominations for the position of chair? Going once, going twice, 3 times. No further nominations for the position of chair. Councillor Madigan will be chair of Corporate and Community Services by acclamation. If you'd like to step forward and take place with the chair. At this point, I'd like to open up nominations for the position of vice chair.
I nominate Councillor McLeod.
And Councillor McLeod, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Better.
Is there any further nominations for the position of vice chair? Any further nominations for the position of vice chair? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. No further nominations. I'll call nominations closed, and acclamation of the position of vice chair goes to Councillor Marion McLeod.
I don't have to move, do I?
You can sit up here with 3 now. The big seats.
So far away.
Okay, great. Well, this is the first time I've ever been chair of this committee, and I'm just going to point out to our fantastically talented clerk, when I was chair of the other committee, the deputy clerk gave me a cheat sheet what to say, so I'm going to wing it. So following the mayor's tradition of the acknowledgement of traditional lands, do I do that at this as well, Mr. Mayor? Thank you very much. Today we acknowledge that this event is taking place on the traditional territory of the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island. We are thankful to share in the special spirit of this place, rich in the energy of Mother Earth, our ancestors, and the love of all creation. So, I'm going to call this standing committee to order, and I'm going to look to our clerk to help me through this. Okay, all right, can I get a mover and seconder to call it to order? Moved by Councillor Berman, seconded by Councillor Comey. To approve, oh, we're past that, okay. To approve the agenda, that the content of the Corporate and Community Services Standing Committee agenda for March 4th, 2019 be adopted as presented. Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor? Passed. Business arising from previous meeting. Anything? No, because we haven't had one. So this is easy so far. Declarations of pecuniary interest. Do you have any so far, or think that you will? Absolutely not. Excellent. Deputations. 5.1. If I could call up Miss Cecile DeBreton. Very easy to say. I do need new glasses. These just are here as a placeholder to make me look intelligent. Hopefully it works. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm here to ask for a review of the Lakeview Avenue water access off of Georgian Manor Drive. If you just go to the next, we moved here about 3 years ago and we moved on Georgian Manor Drive under the assumption that we did have water access at the end of Lakeview Avenue. I've since confirmed that it is actually a public access, with multiple people from the town. And I have had some conversation with Parks and Rec. They did try to open it up last year, but if you go to the next slide, I'll show you. So this is Georgian Manor Drive. The pink dots represent the current water access. The red dot represents Lakeview Avenue, and the little red square on the other side of the street is my home. So currently, for the last 3 years, we've put our canoes on top of our car, our paddle boards, and we've driven down to one of the other accesses to access the water. Unfortunately, there's one literally right across the street from us that has never been maintained. So if you go to the next slide, this is the one at the end of Huronia Parkway, which is always in the summer, typically cleared, maintained. You can get into the water access. And the next slide, this is 35 Georgian Manor Drive, nice and clear. You can access the water there, which is typically where we go, but it's right beside somebody's home. And then the next slide is at the very other end of Georgian Manor, which we can access as well. And then the next slide is Lakeview. And so last summer, after 8 months of going back and forth with Parks and Rec, they did clear a swath that was completely unsafe for us to access the water. It was just branches cut down, so we were still stepping on sharp branches. There was sludge. So we're just asking for the access to be opened for the people who live closer to this entrance.
Okay,
That's my request. So I don't know how much more I go about, what do I need to do?
well, you've just done it.
Okay,
So
yeah.
congratulations. Director Culver, can you add any comment to help us out a little bit, please and thank you?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so last year, there was the first request we'd had to go after that particular road entrance because the other ones had served the neighborhood, I guess, for that length of time. So we did go in and attempt to clear, but it's extremely wet in there. That's one of the challenges we face. So in order for us to do it properly, we'd probably have to fill, like we'd have to actually apply, and that's a bigger process than just something we can do automatically. This just definitely isn't saying no to that request at all, but I definitely think that we probably need to go back and study exactly how we would go about doing it and come back to committee and council with what it's going to cost and what we'll be looking at. The other challenge, and I'm just going to be honest, is that there are a little more than 25 different road accesses to the water. So one of the things we have to be cautious of is if we do it for one, how many more are we going to have to do it for? But it's not just again to say no, it's just a matter of we're going to have to come back with the actual costs and what the process is involved. We'd likely have to, in order to fill there, we're likely going to have to get NBCA approval because it is an EP land, it's shoreline. But that doesn't necessarily, again, mean it won't happen. It just means that it's not as easy as us creating.
Is there a reason that it was never maintained like the other ones?
Yeah, so through you, Chair,
Oh, well,
it's okay.
sure.
Everybody's first time, not a problem. So yeah, no, I think it's because it's how long they've been there. A lot of the homes in that area hadn't even been established at that point. I think in the past, those road entrances were part of, like, they were privately maintained at one point, and then at some point, came along and they were open enough for us to do it quite easily. This would be a brand new one. This would be starting fresh, and that makes it a little bit more challenging. Again, not impossible. It's just something that we have to plan to do, knowing what the costs are, knowing what we're committing to, etc. Last year's effort was really just because the request, and we thought if we could give you something, maybe that was good enough, but it doesn't sound like it is. So we'll definitely take it under advisement and do the best we can to make a plan for this year. And if we need to come back to council with some cost propositions, we'll definitely do that. Okay.
Thank you.
So is that okay if we just send it to them and they come back and give us a little bit of a report for direction of how we can make it better?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Hey, welcome to Collingwood.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward. This is a big night. This is a big crowd for this committee. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. We have two hockey tenant presentations tonight from two different groups. And as per instruction through the clerk's office, we had an ask if one of them could go first or go last. So we do that by first come, first serve and asking. So I would like to welcome Mr. Steele, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Payetti, and Mr. I'm gonna try this, Urbanowski. Did I get that right? Awesome.
Good.
Excellent. Gentlemen, welcome to Collingwood, and thank you very much for showing interest in bringing your product to Collingwood. Just for everybody in their agenda package, it's on page 101 if that helps. We kind of like to stick to a time limit, so an over.
Short as possible.
God bless you. All right, perfect. So that in mind, with that promise that you've just made me, I'm still going to time it. As I said, gentlemen, welcome. If you'd like to introduce yourself and what you're thinking of bringing to Collingwood.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here tonight and talk about bringing a Junior A hockey team back to Collingwood. My name is Howie Campbell, for those of you I have not met, and I am the majority owner of the Barrie Colts OHL Hockey Club. The great news is, no matter what happens here tonight, junior hockey will be back in Collingwood for the 2019 hockey season, and that is a great thing. But we believe that it should be a Junior A team and that we are the right group to run it. You have already read in our bid materials about the experience of our whole group in operating successful businesses and hockey businesses at various levels of the sport. But I want to talk about the impact our Junior A team will have in the community, about the impact it will have on the young players here, the business community, the kids in the community, the charitable groups in the community, and the whole sense of community that a hockey team can affect. I've seen this firsthand with the Barrie Colts. We are a big part of the community, and we are committed to that. It did not just happen. It happened because we understand the importance of it and how to achieve it. And we will do exactly the same thing here in Collingwood. There are so many examples, and I have little time, so I will speak to some highlights. Our players visit hospitals, seniors' homes. Last year alone, over 55 schools our players visited. We created an Adopt a School program, which allows school to sell a predetermined game night, and we donate $6 back to the school for each ticket they sell. In fact, St. Mary's School here in Collingwood has been part of that program for the past 2 years. In the last 6 years alone, we have donated over $600,000 back to the schools to buy such things as playground equipment, smart boards, band instruments, sports equipment, and other things that schools desperately need. Our nightly 50-50 draws, annual golf tournament, and jersey auctions that we have throughout the year have allowed us to donate, in the 14 years I've owned the team, over $1 million back to local charitable groups. We have helped a lot of amazing people and organizations like Easter Seals, Season Center for Grieving Children, the Women's and Children's Shelters, Royal Victoria Hospital, Youth Haven, Gilda's Club, Barrie Minor Hockey, 12 Ladies in a Tent, and dozens more charities within the Simcoe County. We work with minor hockey groups in Barrie, Innisfil, Essa, Orillia, Clearview, Stayner, Alliston, Wasaga Beach, Creemore, and other boys and girls clubs and leagues to help develop hockey at all levels and to help give as many kids as possible the chance to play hockey on a team. And we see the business success that many of our sponsors and businesses in the community experience because of the team. On the hockey side, this will be the 24th year in the OHL for the Barrie Colts. We won the league championship once, won the Eastern Championship 4 times. We have finished in the playoffs for 22 of the past 24 years. Our team has won more playoff rounds than every other team in the OHL except for the London Knights. We have had over 100 players make it to the NHL and many more playing pro hockey in either any of the other leagues around the world. I'm telling you this to demonstrate that we know how to develop hockey players. Hall of Famer Dale Howarchuk, who is here with us today, is our head coach. Hall of Famer Billy Smith is our goalie coach. and we have one of the best staffs in the league. We have 8 dedicated scouts that cover the whole province, and 2 scouts that cover nothing but the United States. These people are the best at what they do, and we will bring that talent to our team here. We are all about helping young players develop and helping them achieve their career goals. I know what it's like to welcome a 16-year-old into our program and then be there to see the smiles and tears in the eyes of the mums and dads when he signs his first NHL pro contract. That's what we can do here in Collingwood with the junior A team. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce David Steele, who will be our president of the team and will be a big part of being our key for success. David?
Welcome, Mr. Steele.
Thank you very much. My name is David Steele, and I will be the president of the Collingwood Colts Junior A team. I'm honored to meet with you today and happy to see all the familiar faces here to support us. I'd like to talk to you guys about my passion for developing hockey players through the eyes of a player, a junior coach, a general manager, and hopefully an owner of a team right here in this beautiful town. I've volunteered now 15 years in minor hockey, junior development teams, all the way through to junior hockey. It wasn't just through me, it was also other volunteers that worked along with us that enabled us to have such successes as a Junior B Division Championship, first place in the Simcoe region in Junior C for the past 3 years with the Stainer Siskins, a Carruthers Division Championship, and a Provincial Junior Hockey League Northern Division Championship, all within the last 3 years. The reason for our success, though, revolves around developing young men into successful members of the community. When I was 14 years old, living in the town of Brockville, I needed to leave my town, and I moved off to Kingston. I had to leave my family, I had to leave my friends, and it was very hard for me. After that one season was done, I was left to pay for my education, pursue my career, without any help from the teams that I'd worked so hard, been injured, bled for. We have been very diligent in the past 2 months recruiting players to be competitive in our first year of Junior A here in Collingwood. I have 12 players already committed. We also have Jack Dupont. You want to stand up, Jack? Jack was born and raised in Collingwood. He played for the Blackhawks minor hockey. When Jack was 15 years old, not that long ago, eh, Jack? He had to leave and he went to Kitchener. And Jack has ambition to be a junior A hockey player. And part of the reason why he left is that he wanted to be developed so he can achieve that goal and that dream. By bringing a junior A team here, I think it's the perfect fit for Collingwood and kids like Jack to bring them home and have them develop here in our community so they don't have to leave and go through what I did and what Jack's going through right now. Development of minor hockey athletics programs in Collingwood and mutual success with the local business partnership is our priority in coming to you with this team. I look forward to being involved with the community here. I will spend lots of time in Collingwood meeting with local business owners. I've done pretty much almost every day for the last month and a half. My door will always be open to anybody at the Eddie Bush, and you'll probably see me there most days. I thank you for your time and consideration and allowing me the opportunity to bring my passion and love for the game to Collingwood. It is my goal to come back before you in a very short period of time and offer you a bid for an RBC Cup right here in Collingwood, bringing us national recognition throughout Canada. Thank you very much for your time, and I'd like to introduce Dale Howarchuk to speak more on the hockey elements of our team.
Thank you. Hello.
Mr. Howachuk, how are you?
Good, you?
Good, thank you.
Good. My name is Dale Howarchuk, and I'm happy to be here today to discuss Junior A hockey in Collingwood. I think it's a perfect fit. Having been a graduate of the OJHL, wasn't quite called the OJ back then. I played for the Oshawa Legionnaires at the age of 15 years old. I was born, grew up in Oshawa, and I had the opportunity to get my first taste of junior hockey at 15 in Oshawa, which was great. My head coach was Mike Keenan at the time, but that's another thing. At 16, I was drafted. I went and played for the Cornwall Royals, and you know, so after a year of junior in my hometown, I had a good taste of what it was like, and going to Cornwall at 16, leaving home, but at the same time, having junior experience in my hometown was a great thing. Junior A hockey is what is missing most in Simcoe County. There are 6 junior C teams in the region, which are similar level to junior B, and an OHL team in Barrie. Everybody knows in hockey would tell you that junior A would be a natural fit in Simcoe County. It fills the void in the development process and will go a long way in keeping kids at home while they pursue their dreams of playing professional hockey. Having coached in the OJ in Orangeville, I can tell you that this is the #1 development league in North America. 70% of all players move on to a higher level of hockey. The OJHL has 73 current graduates in the NHL. 87 OJHL alumni are currently listed on NCAA D1 school rosters. And there are over 200 players playing in the OHL and over 200 alumni playing university hockey here in Canada. If we are successful here today and are granted the new Collingwood franchise, Simcoe County would become the only place in the province where the ownership group of an OHL team would also have control of a neighboring junior A team and a junior C franchise. The 3 teams combined would be able to attract more local kids, allowing them to stay at home and develop their skills as they follow their dreams. This model would be envied by all cities in the province. Thank you, and I look forward to bringing a successful franchise here to Collingwood. Thank you.
In closing, we are so happy to be here today to talk about junior hockey coming back to Collingwood. The strength of our bid is experience with a proven track record of community involvement in both Barrie and Stayner. From a financial stability perspective, we have been running hockey teams for a combined 20 years. We are so confident in our financial plan we have presented here to you today that if we are successful in gaining your trust, we will post a $175,000 security deposit to guarantee our commitment to having a successful team here for the next 5 years. We feel strongly that our group aligns with the town of Collingwood's values of accountability, transparency, and accessibility. Thank you all for allowing us this opportunity to bid to you here today. We welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna look to the clerk for direction on this. Would we just like the other proponent to come up, or would we like to take questions from the committee at this time? Wonderful. Okay, do we have any questions from the committee? Councilor McLeod.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming to see us today and for your interest in Collingwood. I have 5 questions. Sorry to make a long list. My first question is, I've read through your report and you talk a lot about making partnerships with local minor hockey, Collingwood Blackhawks. Are you making any commitments to girls hockey in Collingwood? I'm pretty sure we have a mother of a player at this table.
Yes, 100%, yeah. When I mentioned all the cities that we talked about here that we already do our adopt-a-school program with, it's both boys and girls hockey leagues. I have 3 daughters who currently play hockey, so I know what you're talking about with girls hockey.
I've also reached out to Lightning, and I've provided them with our mentorship program that will involve girls and boys and figure skaters as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I want to ask a little bit more about the apprenticeship program that you talk about in your presentation that you provided to us. Because not all of the guys who are going to play with you are going to the show, so they need another choice. And I wonder if you could talk to me about a player who is now a journeyman.
Which one? I've got plumbers, I've got HVAC, I've got electricians, heavy equipment. So one specific might be Ben Hughes, who played for us for 2 seasons and is working for electrical company in Barrie, Union. Basically, he came to me, he was playing he's from Midhurst, and he wanted to move home and he wanted to play, but he also was looking for a career and he wasn't scholastically driven. So he wanted to get into a trade. His father was a house builder, and that fit well, and he approached us, and we have these relationships, and the reason why we have the relationships is because, exactly to your point, not everybody makes the show. And for some of these players, the show is Junior C or Junior A. right? So that is the highest level they'll ever play. However, I'm here, and the reason why I'm here is because I had to go the hard route. I had to commit 365 days a year to hockey. I wasn't able to build a resume when I was young, and I didn't have anybody from the hockey organizations help me out, help place me in a career or help me out with my education. So that's what drives me, and so I search and I seek out individuals that are looking for good employees, and hockey players are the best. They may not have a resume of working at a lot of small jobs or working on the mountain, but they definitely have work ethic, and they work well in teams, and they're extremely employable. So those contacts and connections we encountered created these opportunities for guys like Ben Hughes, or I got a list.
I think what you meant is he worked during the day as an electrician as well. So we found him a job, we found him part-time employment while he fulfilled his career ambitions of playing in the hockey league. We've done that with many, many other players.
So he got his hours while he was at
He got
the,
his hours while he was here and is now currently employed as a full-time unionized electrician. We have many examples of that.
thank you. Where'd you buy the team from?
We bought it from the Kingston Voyageurs.
And who would the future Collingwood Colts be playing against?
Dave, you want to do that?
It's the Northern Division. Marty, you probably be able to answer that a little bit better in the division. This is Marty Savoy of the OJHL.
Marty's the president of the league.
Mr. Savoy, welcome. Thank you for traveling up to Collingwood to
It's a
do
pleasure.
this.
I'm glad to be back here finally after we moved back a number of years ago. They're going to be placed in our Northern Division. So they'll be playing teams that are currently Aurora. I'm going to get them all around here. Newmarket's moved now. North York, the division all within the north. So all of our northern teams will be coming out here to play. So Markham will be one as well.
So we would be the most northern, I'm thinking about the
Yes.
Humboldt Broncos and putting kids on a bus.
Yes, you would be our most northern one for sure. And it is a concern of ours as well with buses. And one of the things through the CJHL right now we're doing is, I'm not sure people are aware, is the whole seatbelt safety. We're really pushing to make sure that we have seatbelt to be mandatory on our buses right now. There are issues with the different travel companies not willing to put them on, and insurance and whatnot. But we as a national body, as the CJHL, are pushing towards the seatbelt safety.
Thank you. One more.
One more,
Mr.
sure,
Chair, that's it.
sure.
In each of the presentations that I've read in the package, there's a discussion about pay to play. So these young guys are paying the team and the league for the opportunity to play with your team. Would there be a break for kids who live on Pine Street or
That's
in
very-
Stainer?
That's a very good question. The pay to play model has come out, it hasn't been around forever, but it's been a necessity to some organizations, new teams starting up. The cap for the OJHL, which is the Junior A, is $5,000. It was stated in the bid by the Junior Bs, and it's $3,500 for the other teams. That doesn't suggest that we have to charge that. For example, an OJHL team, Trenton Golden Hawks, doesn't charge any fees whatsoever to any of their players. They have a successful group, they have a successful program. The more successful we make the program, the better we are at hockey, the less the kids pay. We've looked at having that situation for players that have financial concerns or issues. We will make allowances for those people, and they won't have to pay anything. Furthermore, we are going to offer jobs. We are going to offer apprenticeships. We are going to offer things where they will be paid. Some of the gentlemen in the back of the room right now are either on scholarships or working for me in one of the companies, or working for associates of mine in one of the companies. So we take that into consideration. It's just a standard within the OHA that they set when they allowed for pay-to-play models.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Fantastic questions. Councillor Comey, did you have some?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This one's really for the benefit of, through you, Chair, the benefit of those in the gallery and watching at home. I know you've addressed it, but it's really a passionate issue people have, and that is our concession at the arena and your plans for it, because presently it's generally closed, and parents have strong feelings about that. So I'd love to hear your plans for the concession.
Oh, much like the Molson Center, we operate the concessions. We're one of about 12 teams in the OHL that has the concessions and the hockey team. And believe me, you need both to make the business model work. So the plan here back in September, we had a preseason game here where we took a run at operating the concessions. And we kept it simple and, you know, pretty basic, you know, main meal, dessert, popcorn, pop, and some tall boys for the business people that came to watch the game that night. And it went very effectively, very smooth. We had no issues at all, so
Okay,
our
well,
plan would be along the same lines, just to keep it simple, just enough, and not overdo it. And remember, even in the game starts at 7 o'clock, it's over by 9:15. So there's no real issue of alcoholic over serving or anything like that. And we monitor that very, very closely because it's my liquor license that's at stake.
and I'm glad you touched on that. So presumably there would be plans for a liquor license.
Like we would be able to use the same one we've used for the last 14 years. The same insurance backing it up and everything else. So we've got a long track record there at the Molson Center for 24 years without any incidents, any
Thank you.
major problems or anything.
Great, and our public will be pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Any other questions from the committee? Okay, thank you very much. I will just leave this with you before any decision is made. Great presentation. Thank you very much for coming up. The overwhelming capacity for hockey in Collingwood is great, as you can tell by two people tonight. And I will just say this, I will be so bold to say, the great thing about Collingwood, I've had a business here for 28 years, and I've had businesses in other towns. This is a very different town. It's a very special town. It's a town that has its own identity and wants to keep its own identity. Moving forward, just keep that in mind, please and thank you.
Okay.
We appreciate the long-standing good reputation of the Colts, but we're in Collingwood.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, I'd like to welcome up Mr. Geddes. How are you? Mr. Pritchard, Mr. Jeffrey, welcome to Collingwood. You have 10 minutes and 53 seconds to do
Yes,
what
we were
you
timing them, so
need
we'll,
to do. So again, welcome. For many people that are watching at home, they're going to know who Mr. Geddes is, former mayor of Collingwood and a longtime advocate of junior hockey in the area. So I am saying this so you don't need to, sir.
Thank
You're good.
And thank you very much, Chair Madigan, members of council, Mr. Amin, and of course staff. Collingwood has been without a hockey franchise for 8 years. We're in that situation because of the following thing. 8 years ago, to about this time of the year, the Junior A team in town folded. Through the mechanics of the owner and the Junior A League, the commissioner being present, the league contracted itself and sold our junior hockey franchise with no opportunity for a local purchase at the time. As a result, we've been without a team ever since. And I can only say that because of the territorial fears of teams in the area. To say the least, young Collingwood players who could have been playing at home have been traveling. That is the elephant in the room. A group of very dedicated Collingwood citizens, some of whom are in this room tonight, continued their efforts over the last 8 years to bring a junior franchise back to Collingwood. Many roadblocks have been put in front of us. Junior C and B are the natural fit for the community. Their historical success speaks for itself. Our goal was, then, a community-owned hockey team. I feel like Herbie the Love Bug tonight when I look at where we're at, but the reality is that financial sustainability is everything. 1.5 years ago, I met these two gentlemen, Andy Pritchard and Paul Jeffrey and Mark Thompson, who's not able to be with us tonight. They introduced themselves to me, and why I bought into it is they had a global vision for hockey in Collingwood. It excited me. I later introduced them to our group. They brought and bring a community focus on hockey and financial sustainability. Their hockey network, from Scott Moore to the NCAA, is to be highlighted. As you know, as an educator, my goal is to see kids use hockey as a gateway to their future. They have united the business community behind them and proved it by selling out the OHL exhibition game played here in September. Plaudits to them because it was through their efforts, along with the town staff, in preparing the arena. We are about development. Our Junior B bid recognizes community in every sense of the word. Business support, proven. Local citizen community promoters, proven. Networking to the heart of our town, proven. And most importantly, to all the young players out there tonight, player opportunity. We are building people for the community. I would now like to turn it over to Andy, who's going to talk about our bid. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks,
Mr.
Terry.
Pritchard, welcome.
Thank you very much to council and Mr. Mayor. I'm here today to represent our ownership group. I'm not here to compete with the Barrie Colt management, staff, coaches, all of whom I have a terrific amount of respect for, or promise RBC Cups, national media, or national sponsorship for a team. I'm here to discuss why our ownership group and our league of choice, the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League, is the right fit for this town, and that we will represent Collingwood with a strong community-based junior hockey team. We will develop local players within the system, hoping to move them forward in their hockey experience. We will provide you with a league, the GOJHL, that is stable and respects the communities their teams play in. We are financially viable and committed to the long-term success of Junior B hockey in this town. To demonstrate our commitment, we are prepared to post securities in the amount deemed by the municipality. We will utilize local partnerships, local sponsorships from local businesses. We are here today to do what's best for Collingwood and all levels of hockey in this community. I will explain why we feel our group is different than the competing group, while acknowledging we share similar components. Our local ownership group will be on-site, full-time, running and executing all duties necessary to run a junior hockey franchise. Our single focus, 100% effort without distractions, will be the day-to-day operations associated with running the Collingwood Admirals. We will not be a feeder team to another town. We will not make decisions based on the greater good of larger hockey properties. We will become our own locally identified junior hockey club, run by locals, supported by locals. Our ownership group believes the Junior B model is the right fit for this community because it provides our local area hockey players the absolute best opportunity to stay at home and play junior hockey. This league is more affordable for players versus our Junior A competitor. Travel, always a concern for young men playing junior hockey, will be less of a burden as this league only competes within its own division, thus cutting travel distances to away games. Currently, the Midwest Division, where the Admirals will play, have a maximum travel time of just over 2 hours from Collingwood. This allows student athletes the benefit of arriving back home at reasonable hours, thus not affecting study habits and allowing kids to get the appropriate rest for the next day of school. Currently, there are almost 20 kids in our local region on GOJHL rosters, many of whom would have loved the opportunity to play Junior B hockey while remaining at home attending their local schools. The GOJHL considers itself a developmental league with one of its primary objectives to move wherever possible players to the higher levels of hockey, be it major junior, U Sports, NCAA, or professional leagues. Teams in this league typically reside in smaller communities like Collingwood and fill rinks in their community. Current league stats show the league average at almost 500 fans per game, twice as much as our Junior A competitor. We are the right ownership group for Collingwood because we combine a unique set of business and hockey skills, including Paul and I, who together have almost 1,000 games played at the Junior B, OHL, NCAA, U Sports, minor and European levels. This, along with our other business ventures and the added partnership with Mark Thompson, a highly successful independent businessman, provides us with a formative ownership group. Another very important part of our group is the newly formed affiliation with the Owen Sound attack of the OHL. The attack are fully committed to our group and share the same small community-based values. They have encouraged us to maintain our own team identity in Collingwood, but provide us with guidance, mentorship, and support should we need it. In closing, I'd like to say, Mr. Mayor and Council, I'm a local guy with business and hockey roots in this community. I can walk downtown Collingwood into most business and either know them personally or have some connection with them as well. Whether it's the Kellys, the Lockharts, the Slys, the Jacksons, I consider them all supporters of this team. My kids grew up in this area, have come through the local high schools, played hockey, soccer, figure skating for this community. I trust you realize the value of our commitment to this team and community, and on behalf of our group, I sincerely thank you for your serious consideration to our application. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Questions, Mr. Chair?
You've got 2 minutes left if you want to wrap up, sir.
No, you couldn't have done a better job.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions or comments from the committee? Councillor McLeod?
They're going to sound familiar. What's your plan for partnering up with girls hockey in Collingwood?
I would say that Ivy Leishman-Martin and Sarah Alpogarth and all of our young, exciting Lightning kids, I think we got a letter of support from one of those individuals, speaks very highly of our commitment to girls hockey. I've got 2 beautiful granddaughters. Most of you know that. My goal in life is to see one of them hold a hockey stick.
Yeah, I'll also add to that. My daughter Delaney played 5 years here with the boys before the girls hockey started, so we're unfortunately missing that part of it and with some of the young fellows here, and it was a great experience. And so we certainly have we have the will and the necessary ingredients to look after the girls program.
Through you, Mr. Chair. It's a pay-to-play system, and as far as I understand it, the maximum amount that a player would pay would be $30,500. Do you have a plan to give a break to a kid who lives on Pine Street?
Well, actually, it's not 30,000, but.
Or sorry, 3,500. Did I say 30? Sorry.
I'd come back and play for that.
No, it's 3,500 is the max, but, and you know, it's a situation where based on the building of our business and our franchise and so on, that we would look at all opportunities for kids. The max is $3,500. Doesn't mean that's what we're going to charge kids to play in this situation. A lot will be dictated by a lot of different things in terms of where the kid comes from. You know, whether it's a local kid or whether it's a kid from further away and so on and so forth. So it's not a consistent number that says we're absolutely charging a child $3,500 to play here. It'll all depend on where the team is, where the player comes from, and how that player needs to be supported by our team.
Councillor McLeod?
Yes, I have 3 more.
Yes.
Can we talk, but they're not all the same. Can you talk a little bit about, I received anyway, an email earlier today about encroachment. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, we were forwarded that email today. As a matter of fact, we received it at 1 o'clock today. So the only comment we have at this point in time, because we're not prepared for that for a comment, but simple fact is that our commissioner has been apprised of the information, and the commissioner of our league, Greg Best, has no concerns or is very comfortable with the situation and where it stands now, and that's the comment we'll have at this point in time from that. Go ahead.
I think it's really important, and I've got great respect for Howie Campbell and the Barrie Colts who have attended enough games to prove that, and also the Owen Sound attack. But I think it's very important that we really think about the fact that we have not had a hockey team for 8 years. Many of you in this room have families who are in that room next door. And we deserve a franchise. We deserve one. And we have had it taken away for 8 years. And every time we've tried to move forward, and are we on TV tonight, Bob?
We are live streaming.
Thank you, because there are many citizens in this town who supported us, meaning the concept, and roadblock after roadblock. It comes down to the personal interests of owners versus what's in the interests of kids. And Collingwood is about kids.
Just for clarification, through the clerk, we do have Rogers here, so we're live streaming and on air.
Two more.
Two more.
Please,
Two more,
Mr.
yes.
Chair. Can you speak a little bit more about your affiliation with the Owen Sound attack, please?
Well, we had the opportunity to sit with them and the ownership group as well as the general manager and so on. And they, once they heard our story and our rationale and our reasoning behind coming to Collingwood with the opportunity for what we call a community-based junior hockey team, they were all in with it. And they were very, very impressed with the fact that we are, in fact, in the letter that was in the bid presentation, the owner of the Owen Sound attack identified as a like-mindedness for community junior hockey between Owen Sound and what we are trying to present to Collingwood. They essentially have said to us, given the parameters of what we bring to the table within the community here, they are willing to support us from A to Z in terms of scouting, in terms of mentorship, in terms of business, in terms of marketing. The one thing that was really interesting from our perspective is that they encouraged us to maintain the community identity. They didn't ask us to take their name. They didn't ask us to be, the Collingwood attack. They encouraged us to utilize the Collingwood Admirals name and logo that we presented, and they were very happy about that. And that is very important to us as an ownership group because it really, really supports the history and the heritage of this community. And should the minor hockey system go down the path of looking at a new logo, this would be something I believe they could be proud of, and we would be happy to partner with the minor hockey system in terms of utilizing that logo and that identity and that brand. And that's very important to us.
Last one, I promise.
The questions are fine, Councillor McLeod.
Can one of you describe for me the difference between juvenile minor hockey, junior B hockey, and junior A tier 2 from a quality of hockey? What am I going to see?
Juvenile is another tier of minor hockey. Junior B and junior A hockey, you could literally take two lines from each league and interchange them in terms of skill set. Okay, the difference is the bottom two lines in a junior B league would be a little softer in terms of their skill set, but in terms of half the team or half the team you'd be able to interchange them. So that the difference in the ability level in both leagues, there are similarities. There's no question about it. There was a statement earlier that stated that junior B and junior C are very similar. Junior C is typically, again, the skill level drops a little bit more. But we feel, from a junior B perspective, there are people scouting the junior B league as much as they're scouting junior A. Okay, now there are more players that may leave and go from junior A to the NCAA at levels and things of that nature. But there's certainly, we've talked to different teams, and Owen Sound is one team that says they feel stronger scouting a junior B league team than they do a junior A league team because it's more about development within the junior B leagues. And that's, again, goes back to what we're about. We're about developing the people that come through our system, not just as hockey players, but as people as well for the community. And that's very important to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your questions. Very good. Councillor Comey.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank you for a fantastic presentation and also give you the same opportunity for those watching on Rogers and live streaming here in the gallery to talk about your plan for the concession.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I initially, obviously, we looked at that as well, and I've reached out to a few of the local restaurateurs in town, and one of which, Jeff Conway, who owns Northwinds Brewery and Restaurant Brew Pub, and asked him if he'd be interested in possibly partnering with us in some capacity, and I think the letter is in our proposal. So we're going to look at all avenues. I think something like that would be great if we could have another local business as part of the concession in our local arena would be great. But that's certainly one idea we have. Yeah.
Okay, and then you have, of course, Northwinds as the brew house. Would you have plans to potentially get a liquor license as well?
We would, yes, we would.
Great, thank you. That's all, Chair, thank you.
Fantastic, I love the consistency of the questions. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, I just close with an extremely positive statement. We are here to rally around hockey in Collingwood. Whichever council's decision is, we will live by it and support it. I think that's important, and I know Mr. Campbell and his team would probably say the same thing. I do not believe that we should stand in each other's way when it comes to the betterment of young people in hockey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, I agree completely. I do have some questions, but I'm hoping that Mr. Culver will answer them through his presentation. But before we get to Mr. Culver, I think everybody here can appreciate that this isn't and shouldn't be about junior A hockey versus junior B hockey. It should be about the best business proposal for the town and a team that we can celebrate 5 to 10 years down the road. I've said to many people, because they said, don't mess this one up, Bob. And I said, no, we definitely want a team, but we want the right team. As being elected chair tonight, I think that that's important for the community to understand that we will not mess this up. And we have two great proposals, and we're gonna see what the rest of council thinks. Mr. Culver, if you would like to present your report recommendation, if you would like. Okay, do you wanna? Okay, all right. Once again, Mr. Amin from my left, Clerk Atlas from my right, all with smiles. Say, Bob, stay focused. So I will stay focused. All right, reports and minutes of other committees and boards. 6.1 through 6.4. 6.1 being the Accessibility Advisory Committee minutes from November 22nd, 2018. I'm just going to read these out, and then if anybody would like anything pulled, we're happy to chat about them, but if we can pass them all as one, we're happy to do that as well. 6.2, Collingwood Downtown BIA Board of Management minutes, October 11th, November 8th, December 13th, 2018, and January 22nd, 2019. The Collingwood Downtown BIA Board of Management, October 11th, 2018. I did all that. Thanks, Penny. Museum Advisory Committee minutes, October 18th and 23rd, 2018, and Trails and Committee minutes, October 11th, November 8th, and December 13th, and January 10th, 2019. Would anybody like to have any of those pulled to discuss? Absolutely not. So can I get a mover and seconder to accept those? Moved by Councillor Comey, seconded by Councillor Berman. All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, staff report 7.1, PRC 2019-05, Junior Hockey Tenant Selection. Recommending that the Corporate and Community Services Standing Committee support and refer the following staff report to the next regular meeting of council. And the staff recommendation is that staff report PRC 2019-05 be received and council award tenancy to the Collingwood Admirals or the Collingwood Colts and direct staff to finalize and execute a tenancy agreement with the proposed team. Mr. Culver.
Thank you, Chair Madigan. I have a couple paragraphs here in the interest of keeping it quick. It's been a long journey over the last few years in pursuit of a junior hockey team for the Eddie Bush Memorial Arena. In the midst of everything that's gone on, basically since the beginning of this year, a lost concept has been that the Eddie Bush will actually turn 70 on July 15th of this year. There are not a lot of 70-year-old hockey arenas still operating in Ontario, and even fewer still that are taking on the significant community investments that council has put into the Eddie Bush. Not only is the Eddie Bush well positioned to host a hockey tenant team, I think the Eddie Bush is actually asking to be reanimated by junior hockey and a team that will call it home for the next 70 years. As you read in the report, it's a very unique situation. The hockey world is filled with opinion and subjective views, and the processes within the administration of hockey in Ontario are complex and sometimes difficult to understand. Knowing how much passion both of these groups have for their respective projects, I'd like to acknowledge the patience that both proponents has shown as staff work through a diligence exercise to provide as much information as we could to the report. Having said that, we were not able to find anything other than subjective information that would allow us to choose in one way or the other, or provide council with a recommendation. So unfortunately, we're having to put this on council's lap. And as much as I wish that it could be different, that's where we ended up after about a month of research.
And, all right, thank you very much. Would anyone from the public like to come up and address any questions or comments in regards to junior hockey coming home? Come on up. Please just introduce yourself and sign the sheet back there.
Before? After?
After, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Greg Knights. I'm the head coach of the Bantam Collingwood Girls Lightning Hockey Organization. Great presentations for both teams. Two concerns I have is for our Girls Lightning, it took 28 sponsors, local sponsors, to make it affordable for our team to exist this year. With the incoming junior teams, will they take away any local sponsorships to get the junior B or junior A in town? And will the Collingwood minor hockey and the girls hockey now struggle to have local support? The other question is for concession stand. I've taken my kids, I have 3 girls, so I have a family of 5 to go to Barry Molson Center. It's, you know, within tickets, we're still about $60-70 for concession. You know, the kids, popcorn, hot dogs, it still adds up. It's still way cheaper than going to Toronto. The quality of hockey is definitely there, but I want to make sure that whatever concession stands in, the price of beers or liquor would be affordable for a family night out, given the different economic we have in town. So thank you.
Thank you, great question. I guess to Director Culver, if you could, well, you've heard the question, gentlemen, if you could add your comment at a later date through Director Culver and get back to council, that would be greatly appreciated before next Monday. Thank you, Mr. Knight. That's a question that I didn't think about, not the concept of the alcohol, but the team sponsorship. But I believe both proponents have said that they're going to support junior girls and boys hockey. So hopefully they will step up and be fantastic corporate citizens, as I know both groups will, as I'm staring at Mr. Geddes and Mr. Steele. No choice, boys. Any other questions or comments from the public? Welcome, Ms. Skelton, how are you? Are you here as a representative of the BIA?
I am, yes. What I wanted to say was, the BIA doesn't have an opinion on which proposal is better, other than to say, we have lobbied heavily to reanimate the Eddie Bush, and we are extremely excited to see a tenant coming in who will be playing junior hockey, and we will do everything in our power with the successful tenant to help them make it a success. So we're looking forward to hockey in downtown Collingwood again. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. Any other comment? We have a packed house. I would like to see some more people. Thank you. Could you feel my eyes staring at you? Yeah.
No, not really.
Well, they were.
Thanks, Mark.
No pressure.
Hi, my name's Mark Fish. I'm a local hockey dad. My question is to both clubs, is being different calibers of hockey, is there, if there's any requirements to have local kids on your roster already set in place? Like, I'm not sure if there is. And if you could answer that or explain that, that'd be great. And that's all I wanted to ask, basically, if that is already set in place for local kids.
Okay. Okay, so would that be something that could be answered through the Director Culver? Excellent, so we'll have that information for when it comes to council next week. Okay. And I'm sure that with your information down there, one of us will reach out to you the answer as soon as we get it.
Okay, only because it's supposed to be for local kids.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Going once? Twice? Okay, thank you very much for attending tonight. I'm going to read the motion again. PRC 2019-05 Junior Hockey Tenant Selection, recommending that the Corporate and Community Services Standing Committee support and refer the following staff report to the next regular meeting of Council. Staff recommendation recommends that staff report PRC 2019-05 be received and Council award tenancy to either the Collingwood Admirals or the Collingwood Colts and direct staff to finalize and execute a tenancy agreement with the team. Can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Mayor Saunderson, seconded by Councillor McLeod. Any questions or comments from the committee? Mayor Saunderson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I am moving this recommendation, however, I would propose we change the wording of the recommendation. And before I tell you the change in the wording, not to drum up the tension in the room, but I would like to thank all the proponents. This has been a long process. There's been a number of references to the fact that we've been without a team for 8 years, and this is a community that has hockey in its DNA. And those that have toured the Eddie Bush and even the Central Park Arena will know just how deep those roots run. And so this is probably one of the bigger decisions this council is going to face over the next 4 years, and we have a lot of doozers. So you gentlemen, we thank you very much for making our task so difficult. Because for 8 years we've been banging on doors and been told kindly to leave. And so I have to say I voice a level of frustration with the hockey federations. I think we've been somewhat of a ping pong ball in this process. And I think this council is being put in a very hard position because not only are we looking at the business model and the best case moving forward and the best fit for our community, and this is a community that cares so much about hockey, but we are also facing threats post-decision that could impair how these franchises move forward. And that to me is unconscionable, to put this council in a position where it has to choose a franchise when there are still steps to be taken down the road. We appreciate how hard you have worked to come forward with the best proposals for the best fit in our community. But there are forces at play I am very concerned that will impact that decision moving forward. That said, this is such an important decision that I am going to be recommending that this committee, the Committee of 5, not prejudge this matter going forward, and that we send it to our full council of 9 for consideration at that level. So the recommendation I am putting on the table is that this committee receive the staff report and put the matter to council at the next meeting for decision. And those are my reasons, and I know, having spoken with a number of proponents and a number of people in the process in and out of the community, this is a very important decision for us, the hockey fit, the hockey level, and the business sustainability moving forward. In the world of politics, one of your worst scenarios is what we call offloading by stealth. And that would be a government or some association pulling funding from an organization once it's started. And the business models for this moving forward are very critical, because 5 years from now we don't want to be sitting around this table talking about how we're going to try and sustain a franchise that is having a bumpy ride, and we've been around that before. We need to get it right this time. And again, I thank the proponents for your excellent work, and you know, at the end of the day, the decision around this table will be made on what we believe to be in the best interest and with the least amount of risk for our community moving forward. Those are my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mayor Saunderson. Through a very, very quick discussion with the clerk, and I can appreciate what you're saying by all means, because there's nothing dirtier in politics than hockey politics. So, and to stoke the emotional fire of this community has just reinvigorated it. But just for a quick comment, the staff report says that we receive it and that council award the tenancy. So it is what it. I think what your thought behind it was. We're not awarding the tenancy tonight. Council will be the one. All 9 of us will be making the decision. So. Is that correct, Clerk Elm?
I appreciate that clarification. There was, as I understood it, staff was looking to this standing committee to make a recommendation. Obviously, it has to go for council for passing, but if that's consistent with the recommendation as it stands, then I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, Mr. Culver, just for clarification for the people watching at home and the people in the audience.
Yeah, through you, Chair. My understanding is that it's at standing committee's discretion to either move it forward to council without a recommendation or move it forward with a recommendation.
Okay, so I'm gonna read this as the chair, just for clarification, and I read this very, very plainly, as all this committee is doing is receiving this, and it's council that will be awarding the tenancy. It has absolutely nothing. We're taking Mr. Culver's report, sending it to the rest of us when we sit here in a week, and hopefully we can get all the questions answered within that week that we're gonna have today. And if that is what it is, then because I agree with Mayor Saunderson 195%. We're not the ones choosing to do this tonight. It definitely has to be all 9 of us, and we need to have some answers within the next week. So, quick comments.
Certainly, generally, we'd like all of our standing committees to make a recommendation to go forward to council, but in the instance of, based on this wording, it looks like if the committee is satisfied in having council make that decision, the wording as presented would afford that opportunity, that it's basically being received at this point and forwarded to council to make a decision as a whole. So that, we'll go with that's the intent of this motion then. Council would be receiving the report, and council will make the decision on who to award it to.
Mayor Saunders?
I'm good with that.
Excellent, me too. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Councillor McLeod? Councillor Comey? Councillor Berman? Okay, so I have a few questions. Once again, we're all very pleased that you're both here. I don't think you can wipe the smiles off any of our faces, especially not mine. But I do have a couple questions in regards to both teams. So I read in both reports that some of them there was, Mr. Culver, there was a contingency that certain things had to be made and letters had to be received. So I would like to know, and I bet you the rest of council would like to know if both teams have been given if the Junior A has been given the right to move the team to Collingwood, and if the Junior B has gotten the letter from the OHA, and where is it? I just want to know if everything has been set out. So the Ontario Hockey Association and the compliance with the OHA's encroachment, that was in the Junior B concept, and the concept of moving a Junior A team to Collingwood, buy and move.
Through you, Chair, so where we're at is both teams have been approved by their respective leagues. Both teams are subject to final approval by the OHA. Both teams' final approval will be contingent upon the OHA processes, which include a potential encroachment challenge. The only encroachment challenge that I'm aware of, I received today a copy, and so did council, a copy of a letter from the Junior C group in Stainer indicating that they were going to be pursuing an encroachment challenge on the Junior B team if it were to be accepted by council. That's what I know. I'm also aware of an OHF moratorium provision on the expansion of junior hockey, which only indicates that there would be a process for the expansion team to go through if it were to go to the if it were to get through the OHA and get approval of the OHA. It would still require going to an OHF process. That doesn't necessarily mean that it will not be approved, it just means that there's a process to be had.
Okay, so that was my next question, just for the 4 other people in the committee and the people at home. So the OHF is a governing body that can just add another step to both the proponents?
So the Ontario Hockey Association is the governing body for junior through senior hockey in Ontario. The Ontario Hockey Federation is Hockey Canada's branch in Ontario and has authority over all hockey ranging from minor all the way through to senior. So the OHA in effect reports to the OHF or has responsibilities to the OHF.
Okay, is there any questions that have come off my comments or questions? No. So I am gladfully surprised to call for the vote. So all those in favor of sending this to council and getting one of these 2 great proponents to come home to the Eddie Bush for the 2019-2020 season, all in favor? That is passed unanimously. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for everything you've done. Thank you for the representation of Collingwood in the audience. And you are more than welcome to stick around because things are about to get quite exciting. Or you can take your leave, but if you do take your leave, if you can just... Thank you very much.
Sorry, you gotta go to the historical society.
Okay, moving along, 7.2, PRC 2019-01, the Gathering Circle Budget Updates, Final Costs. Director Culver.
Thank you, Chair. This is, committee will remember that we've been updating council on the process of the Gathering Circle project budget throughout as an alternative to normal procurement practices. So this was the final report indicating where we landed on the Gathering Circle. I'm regretful to say that we did miss budget by about 3%, but a $20,000 swing. I hope that the committee and council will also recognize that it was an intense process with lots of moving targets and pieces along the way. So we're actually quite proud of the outcome, and that's the report.
Thank you for keeping that very concise. Would anyone from the public like to wish to speak on this report? Seeing none, I will read out the motion. PRC 2019-01, recommending that the Corporate and Community Services Standing Committee support and refer the following staff report to the next regular meeting of council. Staff recommendation is that staff report PRC 2019-01 be received for information. Can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Berman, seconded by Mayor Saunderson. Any questions or comments? Councillor McLeod.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Director Culver. You said you were regretful that it was 3% overrun. Is 3% normal? Is in a municipal project?
Through your worship.
Thank you, not yet,
Oh,
not
sorry.
ever,
Through
not
you.
ever. So just Bob, thank you.
Through you, Chair. I hesitate to say what's normal for a project. I believe that we had I'm getting some kudos from the treasurer, but we didn't obviously intend to run over budget. It was a matter, like I say, of many moving targets and a lot of unpredictable circumstances. We tried to report and actually I believe did successfully report at each stage along the way, so the council was aware of some of the challenges. And we did adjust the budget once during that process in order to accommodate one of the challenges that we could identify soon enough. But yeah, no, I would hesitate to say that it was a normal overrun.
Councillor McLeod, yes?
And please forgive me if this is out of order. Based on what you discovered at the location, is that going to require that we rethink some of the decisions, plans, hopes, dreams that we have for that neighboring property or the property nearby when we go through our waterfront master plan?
Through you, Chair,
Yes.
if I may, that's an excellent question. The reality is likely not. We are going through a process of site planning right now for every other element in Harborview Park, but the other elements don't need to impede upon the former landfill, which was constituted a number of the challenges we faced with the Gathering Circle. So we will be working to fill in some locations to rise above grade. We will be adjusting the site plan to avoid any obstacles such as NDCA concerns, etc. But no, we shouldn't have to face that, and the site planning approach is absolutely the right approach to take.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you, Mayor Saunderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Dean. Dean, when you talk about this being unusual circumstances, there was a tight timeline, and the United Steelworkers had committed, I think you said around $80,000 in free labor essentially, plus $42,000 cash contribution. So compared to our initial cost estimate, did this compare favorably to the outcome, or was it still over budget?
Through you, Chair, no, compared to what it could have cost, it was under budget.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your positive vote, Mayor Saunderson. I like how you're kind of redirected that, and it's the first time I've seen a smile on your face in a while. I like that. Councillor Comey?
Thank you. Through the chair to Director Culver. Just on this committee, I'll probably bring up washrooms a lot, so everyone can just prepare for that. And so just referencing here on the budget, so about $1,000 for the rental of the porta potties. It seems like for the workers, and then on opening ceremony, and then touching on Councillor McLeod and the future of that area. Earlier today, we heard you talk about plans for that much beloved splash pad. Are there plans for permanent washrooms in this area?
Through you, Chair. Yes, the splash pad, we've determined at the outset will need a washroom, change room facility. We feel it will be a community destination, and therefore those amenities need to be on site at the location rather than expecting the people to take care of their needs at home before they get there. So there will be that. There is also a cultural center plan for that site, which will also have community space and washrooms at some point in the future. But washrooms specifically committed to the splash pad is definitely a certainty as far as our planning goes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no more questions, we call for the vote. All those in favor? Passed unanimously. 7.3 PRC 2019, the 2019 Parks, Recreation and Culture Master Plan.
Feel a little bit rude sitting down, so hopefully you don't mind if I hobble over. Which I can flick through, hopefully. So this is going to be somewhat concise, I hope, and you can start timing me now. Launched in late 2017, the master plan project was led by MHBC Planning with help from Raymond Consulting, TCI Management, and the Wilton Consulting Group. The overarching purpose of the plan is to improve and in some cases create a roadmap for PRC that will help to guide the department over the next 10 years. To gain insights from the public that help the department to formulate its mission, vision, values, and the service delivery model. And finally, to gain some perspective on our operational challenges and start developing solutions that can lead to more effective and efficient outcomes. So what you're looking at is the strategic framework that was used to develop this master plan. Each element in the framework contributes to the final program, the final service delivery model, and the roadmap for PRC over the next 10 years. This vision statement captures the point and purpose of PRC as a result of the successful implementation of the master plan. The vision statement reads, envisioning a community where residents and visitors are inspired and enabled to achieve physical and mental well-being through healthy activity and social engagement, utilizing our unique physical environment. The plan identified 5 overarching goals that will help and guide PRC to achieving that vision. Sorry, I'm double dutying here. Under accessibility and affordability, the public spoke clearly about the need to remove barriers and evolve PRC's attention and service offerings toward a broader scope that includes residents of all ages and abilities. One of the ways we will be able to achieve a broader spectrum of service offerings is to partner and collaborate with existing and emerging organizations. Through a policy-driven approach, we will support and encourage synergies and growth alongside our community partners and develop new parameters for engagement and program development. One of the largest identified challenges in any community, and Collingwood certainly no exception, is how to achieve effective communication and engagement of residents. The plan brings some focus to this problem and prioritizes outreach and feedback loops to help close the communication gaps. In a rapidly evolving world, it's important to continually innovate, to find creative new ways to deliver services, adapt to new demands and expectations, and to leverage newly identified resources. The previous goal of communication and engagement ties tightly to this goal of innovation, as we often find the brightest ideas and creations coming from an interested public body. Finally, the public also spoke loudly about the need to develop community hubs and maximize the use of existing and future infrastructure. There's a social context to this goal as well. The community is looking for spaces where they can connect to one another within a variety of purposes to serve the greater health and well-being of all the residents and visitors in the area. Getting more people to be more active more often can be driven by community members having the opportunity to be inspired and supported by one another, and by building supportive environments which invite and encourage participation from all members of our community. Optimizing cultural and active spaces will have the natural effect of helping to achieve this outcome. So this is where it gets a little more complicated, because 121 recommendations came out of the process of developing the master plan, and some of these recommendations are part of our current activity but are now formalized within the plan. Some are new ideas that will need to be developed over the longer period with input from resources beyond the department. And regardless of the origin or intention of the recommendations, we needed to develop a work plan to even begin tackling the suggestions. So the last part, the appendix on the report, is our 2019 and 20 roadmap. We stayed true to the master plan goals, as you'll see in the left-hand column. The 5 overarching goals are listed there, and each action relates to those goals. But we needed to consolidate and collapse recommendations by identifying their interrelationship and plotting our path to achieving each task. I think I lost some of my notes, so I'm going to go off the cuff here. On the right-hand side, you'll notice that there are 2 measurement columns, and the measurement columns include the Index for Wellbeing in Canada and the Framework for Recreation in Canada's municipal audit tool. The Index for Wellbeing in Canada is a measurement of how far or how well we're doing in achieving that vision I mentioned earlier, the broad promotion of well-being in our community. The Framework for Recreation's municipal audit tool will actually help us to measure our operational processes against the Canadian national standard. It'll help us to understand whether or not we're moving the ball down the field or whether we're standing still. So we feel that with these 2 measurements, addressing tasks that are born out of the 5 overarching goals, we actually have a way of delivering a report card to council. We have a way of creating a work plan, an annual work plan, and at the end of the year coming back to council and saying, here's what we've done, here's how we moved the ball in terms of whether it's well-being or our operations, and here's our plan for the next year with our new targets in play. We gave you 2 years, with 2019 obviously being our primary focus. 2020 will flex and adjust according to what we get accomplished in 2019. And then again, in 2021, we'll come back with 2019's results and we'll move the ball a little bit farther that way. So that's how we were able to take 121 recommendations, a 200-page document, put it together, and come up with an action. And that's what we thought we really, really needed to do, and to be able to have some simple context to deliver to council. That's it. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Director Culver, and I will ask if anyone from the public wishes to speak to anything that Dina said. Nope. Okay. 7.3. We're recommending that the Corporate and Community Services Standing Committee support and refer the following staff report to the next regular meeting of council. That staff report PRC 2019-02 be received and council support future approvals for implementation as presented during budget deliberations or requested through future staff reports. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Comey, seconded by Councillor Berman. Any questions or comments? Mayor Saunderson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's really more, I think, just a comment, Dean. Congratulations to you and your staff. That was a very large report, 121 recommendations, some of which I think were more internal than policy and procedure level. And I think the document, or the way you've distilled it down, is digestible and understandable on a high level, giving us direction on a very large portfolio for our community. But I most appreciate the performance measures, because anytime you get a large sort of policy-oriented document, really the value of the document is how we implement it and how we can be measured on implementing that, so that people understand that we are pushing the bar forward. And so from the first iterations I read of this report, while I was not on this committee last term, it was certainly a very long read. It was a very interesting read, but it needed to be focused, and I think you and your staff have done an excellent job doing that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Saunders. Any further questions or comments? Excellent. Well, I'm going to piggyback right after what the mayor was saying. I did not sit on this committee either, and I did trudge my way through the 263-page report. And just for the people watching at home, just so you guys can understand of what councillors and mayors and deputy mayors go through, what Mr. Culver just presented in 7 to 10 minutes was 263 pages worth of information. So I really want to thank you. The report was quite complex, and I'm really glad that you shortened it up for us and did more of an essentials presentation. So that being said, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Passed unanimously. Moving along, 7.4, the Georgian Trail Annual Operations Report. Mr. Culver?
So the final chapter in PRC night tonight is this housekeeping item, the Georgian Trail Annual Operations Report. When the Georgian Trails Committee was disbanded or disassembled, and the three communities took ownership over their section of the Georgian Trail territory, we all agreed that we would provide an annual report regarding operations and how we're working to maintain the trail overall, so that this doesn't get forgotten. So if there's any questions on the report, we have to answer them.
Any questions or comments from the public on the report? Seeing none. We're recommending that the Corporate and Community Services Standing Committee support and refer the following staff report to the next regular meeting of Council. Staff recommendation that staff report PRC 2019-03 be received for information. Can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Berman, seconded by Councillor McLeod. Any questions or comments from the committee? Councillor McLeod.
And this may not be part of the purview of this report either, so please forgive me, through you, Mr. Chair, to Director Culver. Some time ago, we had a conversation with you regarding trail grooming down towards the waterfront, which may or may not be part of Georgian Trail. I can never remember where one begins and one ends. How has that gone?
Through you, Chair, I will say that there are portions of the Georgian Trail being groomed. It's not the entire Georgian Trail, but a portion, definitely. It's actually helped our operations to be able to have the Georgian Trail to get our grooming machine from the park area down into Harborview Park, where we're still piloting the idea. It's gone really, really well. I would say that we're still building confidence in how to do it. But based on the comments we get out on the trail and the emails we've received a lot of, all have been 1000% positive about the effort, and it feels like something that we hope we can continue to do and work out over time.
Excellent answer. In future, this would not be in the purview of it, but it's still a fantastic question. Thank you, Director Culver, for leaving this meeting on a positive note. I appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? That is passed unanimously. Departmental updates or discussion? None? Mr. Ridlow.
There we go.
Excellent.
Thank you. I just thought I'd provide a little bit of extra color to the PRC evening. I want to just provide council or the standing committee with two updates. One is, and something I mentioned earlier this afternoon, the informational tours are going to be starting off in April. And the way the process works is we work with businesses, they submit, we will then have Karen out of the Business Development Center send out dates. Typically it's just one date, usually on Thursdays. We find that tends to work for most people. And whoever can make it, can make it. Usually we try and have a minimum of about 3 people. Once again, these are informational tours only. So no decisions are made. It's a chance for the business to share with you where they're at, the look of their business. share the challenges, and once again, it is for your information. So that'll be picking up with dates starting in April, so just want to put that on your radar. The second thing I wanted to share with you is the Creative Space has announced a new Collingwood Tech 5x5 Innovation Forum. And this will be taking place on March 29th over at Simcoe Street. And the idea here is to actually cast a stronger spotlight on some of the tech companies that are here and some of the innovations that they're working on. So the idea behind the Collingwood Tech 5x5 is that you have 5 companies present for 5 minutes with a maximum of 5 slides. Very informal discussion starting off at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. So it's a chance to find out more about what's going on here, meet them, talk to them, and hopefully try and drive more conversation even amongst the companies. So we've got over 15 companies just here in Collingwood that are tech companies. So it'll be an interesting chance to meet some of them and find out more about what they're doing. And that's it for me this evening. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the update, the positive. Any questions? Councillor Comey.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, actually, please, Martin, I've had, so first of all, congratulations on the 5x5. It seems to have generated a lot of interest, at least I've heard a lot of discussion. Could you kindly clarify for me, is this being put on through you, through the town, or is this through the Creative Space, like as a private enterprise?
Through you, Chair. So it's being put on by the Creative Space. We're certainly supporting it. We've been there sort of from the start when the idea started to come up with Creative Space Barrie and Creative Space Collingwood to say, you know what, is this something that Collingwood wants to have here? But they are really the key organizers of it. And so that's how we've structured it, and they're certainly excited about doing it. It ties in well with their business model.
Okay, thank you. That helped me clarify questions. Thank you.
No, excellent question. Anybody else? Excellent. Other business? Anything to be brought up? No? Wow. Okay, I'm going to call for the adjournment. Who would like to?
Where's Kathy?
Mayor Saunderson.
We're stuck.
Mayor Saunderson.
And Kathy.
Married. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much. Those at home watching, enjoy your evening.